Hi guys, I'm Marissa from Ray Gun Ramblings, and I am going to show you how to make a super easy envelope pillowcase. This is actually one of my very most popular posts on my blog, but I decided it's fun to do a video for it. So I'm going to make my pillowcases for a pillow that is 17-inch square. So to figure out how much fabric you need, you're going to need a long piece of fabric like this, and basically you're going to need it to be able to wrap around your pillowcase. So since you want the pillowcase to be filled by the pillow, you want it the same height, and then you want it double the width plus 4. So 17 times 2 plus 4. So that's going to be 34 plus 4, so 38. And then basically the way that we put it together is that we have this 38 piece rectangle, and where the center is going to be 17 by 17, and then the edges will just fold over and we'll have a small overlap right here. Does that make sense? So if you've got a bigger square, just do that number times 2 plus 4. And for the most part, 4 should be enough for the overlap. Okay, so let's get started. Okay, so I just cut my fabric down to be 17 by 38. And I'm going to use these gorgeous Desert Bloom fabrics from Riley Blake. And so let me just show you. It is so easy. You can do this all on the sewing machine, or if you do have a serger, you can finish the edges. I've done it both ways. I've done it where I just stitch up the sides, and where I finish the edges with my serger. So this is the basic idea. You're gonna fold it, and then we're just gonna sew along the sides. And since this is a selvage edge, we don't need to do anything to it. If you want the fast, speedy way, just pin it up right here. But I think I'm gonna serge this edge just to finish it. Although, pillowcases don't endure that much wear and tear, and I've washed a few of mine that I didn't finish and they held up just fine. So you can skip this step, or you can serge it or zigzag the edge if you just want it to hold up a little bit better. Let's go to the sewing machine. Okay, so we are just gonna finish the edges of the pillowcase that that will go underneath. So this cut edge right here. This edge is a selvage edge, which means that it's not going to fray on us, but if you happen to have 2 cut edges, you can just fold one over and take a stitch down the edge. Easy enough. But since nothing's going to happen to it and looks nice and clean, I'm just going to use this as the edge. So serging or zigzag to finish the inside edge. Okay, so I finished this edge on my serger. You don't have to do that step, but you can if you want to. And since my other edge is a selvage edge, I'm just going to leave it flat. But if you were going to use a fabric that you don't have the selvage edge to use, all you'd need to do is just fold this edge over, take a narrow little seam on your sewing machine, and you'd be good. But we are going to do it this way. So this is important when you're lining up your pillowcase, is to put whatever side you want to be on the outside first. So since this is the finished edge for us, that goes down first, and the next step is the under part. Since this is finished and showing, it won't matter since there's that overlap, but you want that to be on top so that when you turn it right side out, this will be on the inside. So the next key is that you want this to be 17 inches. So we need to open it up just a little bit. And I mean, you could measure and fold it in half perfectly and just get it, but I find it works just as easy to kind of position and then reposition. So that works for me. You can do whatever you think works best for you. So that's 17 here, and just make sure it's 17 at the top. We'll just scooch it in a little bit and call it good. Okay, so now I like to pin it in place. I just pin where that edge is, and then where this edge is through all 3 layers, and then repeat it on the bottom side. And since this is a square pillow, it doesn't matter if your fabric has a direction. So next up, we're going to either sew or serge right across this line. Once again, you can do this whole project on your sewing machine, but I like just to do the one step on the serger since it finishes the edge at the same time. You can choose not to finish the edge, and it will work fine for you. Unless you have a super unravelly fabric, then you can just take a zigzag over the edge. But we're gonna serge it, but you can sew it. Okay, so now we're just gonna sew or serge down these sides of the pillowcase. I just take about a 1/2 inch seam allowance, a 1/4 inch to a 1/2 inch seam allowance. And once again, you can do this on the sewing machine, but I like to do the serger since it does finish the edges. And if you wanted to do this whole project on the sewing machine, what you would do was just take a straight stitch straight across, a 1/2 inch seam allowance, and then you could just zigzag over the edge so that it doesn't unravel. But honestly, as long as your fabric isn't super unravelly, it should be fine, because on the inside, this is all so it won't get much wear and tear, and decorative pillowcases don't really get washed this often. So these are the type of pillowcases that you'd probably put on a throw pillow, and that's just not something that gets manhandled all the time. So just a regular straight stitch on the sewing machine should do the trick. Okay, and really that's the trick. All we did was we finished the inside seam. If we needed to, we would have finished this by sewing down the edge, but we used a selvage, so we don't even have to do that. And then we took a seam across the top, a seam across the bottom. And let me show you how it works. Just turn your pillowcase right side out. Kind of poke through the corners. And I do, when I serge it, I do like to leave a little tail just so that it's less likely to unravel. You can tie it in a knot, you can do something else, but I find that the little tail does the job for me. And this is what the pillowcase will look like. It's a nice pillowcase with a pocket to stick the pillow in. And it's a good overlap. And it's finished on the outside since you have the selvage. And then let's stuff the pillow.
So you put up your pretend umbrella and you go home.
And this is the back. Then there you go. Looks nice on the front. Ready to throw on your couch or chair, wherever you want to put it. Easy, right?